Hello and welcome to Give and Take, the positives in life. So thank you again for tuning in. I really appreciate the support that the show has been getting. And so today's topic is the soul traveler. And I have a wonderful guest who's going to share his details, his name, and what he does. And I promise you, you will be in for a wonderful treat with our guest. So welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to meet you and to be here on your show.
Thank you. So if you'd just like to share your name and what exactly your role is, title or whatever you assign to yourself.
Well, my name is Kevin
Okay.
Misevis, and I go around as the soul traveler. I am the first person in the world to combine the ancient 5,000-year-old healing art of Qigong with a Western instrument. Typically, in China, Qigong is performed with Chinese instruments, which are beautiful.
Okay.
However, they're very foreign to the Western ear. And I gave a concert in Beijing in 2003 at the Beijing Red Cross Center for Traditional Taoist Medicine. And that's run by a master, Wan Suyan, who is a very interesting Qigong master and Kung Fu master. He's a former personal physician of Chairman Mao, a national hero in China, saved thousands of lives in the Tianjin earthquake, going into a collapsed hospital to retrieve medicines that were much needed. And he took 5 volunteers in that were single because it was a very dangerous operation.
Right.
And they got most of the medicine out, and the last batch, they were on their way out, and the hospital collapsed on them. And because his family was Qigong doctors, and he studied Qigong up in the mountains with these monks and hermits and whatever, he knew fetal Qigong, which he was able to go into like a hibernation. He was the only one that survived when they finally,
Wow.
the rescue team dug him
Wow.
out. Currently, he's a 4-star general in the Chinese army and head of the medical doctors. He did all the medical for the Beijing Olympics. He was supposed to do a concert in New York with me. We had to cancel due to the Olympics. He got called to duty for that. And he treats the president of China
Oh.
with medical Qigong. This man is a beautiful man. He brings children from all over China, teaches them English, Qigong, Western medicine, English medicine, Western medicine, Chinese medicine, and Qigong and Kung Fu. And it's a total healing person. It's amazing. So after I gave this concert, he saw that I could channel music, because when I sit down to play, I don't practice anymore. I used to practice 5 hours a day when I was young.
Right.
And when I sit down at the piano, I close my eyes, I don't look at my fingers, and these things I call chinadas come out of nowhere, from God, the chi of the universe, the Akashic field. My eyes are closed, I'm not looking at my fingers, and it just flows. When you listen to my music, it's total in the flow.
Right.
And I've put together a 15 CD set of this healing music with these 5 Qigong masters from Beijing, China. Now, why do I call it healing music? A couple of reasons. Number one, when I channel this music, I charge it with healing intent.
Lovely.
Now, what does that mean? Healing intent is a subtle energy that gets encoded in the sound waves of the music.
I've heard this, yes.
Just like SMPTE time code locks audio to film in Hollywood. Masaru Emoto, do you know him?
Yes, yes.
Okay, a wonderful man. He PhD in Japan, who passed away a couple of years ago. He would take a drop of water, as you
Yes.
probably know, and
Yes.
say, "I love you," and then freeze that. At the moment that that crystallized, it made a beautiful hexagonal crystal.
Right.
And then he would take another drop of water and say, "I hate you. You're ugly."
Right.
And he would take a picture of that. When it crystallized, and there'd be no crystal or deformed looking crystal, something ugly, you know.
Right.
And he would do the same thing with writing a piece of, you know, I love you or hate you, and then thinking it without even saying it, and the same result. So this proves that intent, which is a subtle energy,
Absolutely.
is programmable into things, just like simply
Absolutely.
time code. Everything is energy. We're all
Sure.
vibrating energy, and
Yes,
everything
we
is
are.
energy. So that gets encoded into the music. And when I do these performances with these Qigong masters, they are charging my music not only with Qi, but with healing intent. So after I gave this performance concert in China, Master Wan called me aside with one of his interpreters to translate and suggested, and this was not my idea, this was his idea, that because I studied Qigong, and I was there for 3 weeks the first time to do study
Right.
Qigong with him, and that I can channel music, I would be the perfect person to combine the ancient art of Qigong with the Western instruments so he could introduce Qigong to the West. Because most
Wonderful.
people in the West are not familiar with these Eastern healing arts, and it's a shame because the Eastern healing arts heal without side effects. I mean, there's hospitals in China that heal cancer with just the energy coming out of the Lagong points in these masters' palms.
Right.
And they've measured that energy up to 60 volts.
Wow.
And that's pretty amazing. And so how do you heal with that? Well, what is disease? When you're sick, your body is basically out of tune,
Yes.
right? What does that mean? That means your cells are not vibrating up to speed.
Right.
They're vibrating at some other frequency. Now, what's interesting about the piano as a healing instrument, besides the Qigong, besides the healing intent, put that aside for a minute. Number 3, the piano has 88 keys. The first 10 keys are single strings. The next 10 keys are double strings, and then the rest, 68, are 3 strings. So when you add up all those strings, you got something like 240, whatever it is, I forget the number, but this is a lot of strings.
Okay.
Now when you play one note on that piano, that sets in motion all those strings on some level, whether it be sympathetic resonance, harmonic resonance, entrainment, all those strings start to vibrate, and when they start to vibrate, they start to interact.
Wow.
Now DNA only has 4 different, substrates that combine to make humans, right? Well, this is 240 or whatever it is strings. You can imagine how many zillions of frequencies are created. Some of these frequencies might be 0.001 cycles per second. That means it takes 1,000 seconds to make one sine wave like this. Now, I have a thing called a Rife machine. A Rife machine was invented back in 1930 by Dr. Royal Rife, an American doctor who also held a lot of awards for optics, ballistics, worked for the government on many, many different things. And he invented what he called the universal microscope. It had 5,600 moving parts. And through a heterodyning process, he was able to take 2 ultraviolet lights, which are not in the visible spectrum, focus it on cancer viruses, and he would create another shorter wave that was in the visible spectrum. And he was able in 1930 to see live viruses with his microscope, something modern science, AMA medicine, cannot do today. They have to stain the viruses to see them, so they're dead.
Okay.
So while these viruses were, moving around under the microscope, he applied frequencies to them. When he got to a certain frequency, he noticed that these bugs would explode. They would go vibrate and just boom, like that, destroy them. Just like the jazz or opera singer hits the high note, the wine glass shatters. What's that all about? Resonance, resonance. The frequency of that note is the same frequency that that wine glass vibrates at. Putting that energy causes it to fall apart, just like the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in Missouri in 1940, 43-mile-an-hour wind came up, things started to vibrate like this for an hour, like a ribbon candy, and fell down, all with resonance. So in this new Rife machine that I just picked up, rifedigital.com, they print the frequencies. Now, all my other Rife machines that I've had for 25 years, and I love them, they work great, just give you proprietary codes, so you don't know what the frequency is. But this one has all the frequencies. And when I looked at the frequency list, I was shocked. The frequencies that all the pathogens vibrate at go from 0.001 cycles per second to 1,000 cycles per second. It's totally in the sound spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the piano is such an amazing healing instrument. Because in that sound spectrum of the pathogens, a lot of these vibrations are 0.001 or 0.1 or 0.2 or 0.7, 0.56, you know, and these are all fractal kind of frequencies, which when you hit one note on the piano, you get 240 strings going crazy, you know, you're going to make all these kind of frequencies, and those things are going to have an effect on your body. And my piano is tuned to A432. That's a healing frequency. Everybody else tunes their piano to A440. The orchestra is tuned to A440, and that's well and good, but it's not a healing frequency.
Right. So now, since you're mentioning the piano, I think this might be a good time to actually see some of your performance with the piano.
Oh, that would be great,
That
sure.
would be a good thing to see that now, yes?
What you're going to watch now is a video of a concert that I gave at the Rubin Museum of Art with Master Wan Xian and 5 Qigong masters from Beijing, with some video from all over the world, including the top of my mountain. I live in Stamford, New York, and I own a mountain called Castle Mountain, which is a sacred mountain. The energy on this mountain is amazing, and I've created this incredible environment with 5 working megalithic stone waterfalls, all from springs, natural, and the energy of the triangulation of the 3 mountains and the 4 collecting lakes and ponds act as a chi sink for all the chi there, and then the windswept atmosphere just creates this incredible ionic environment with the waterfalls and all this healing energy. And this is where I have my sanctuary where we do all these recordings, except for the ones you're going to see here. But the video it starts on top of my mountain called Castle Mountain, and it's very beautiful, and the energy is incredible. So it gets charged into the music along with these Qigong masters and myself.
Okay, lovely. Yeah, so we'll see the video of the music. Okay, so Kevin, if you just want to explain, there's some beautiful movement going on, and your piano playing seems so very healing and very tranquil. So you just want to share a little bit about the piece we just saw.
Okay. This was Sundor at World's End, and this was a piece that when you see these guys moving their hands around.
Right.
What they're doing is moving energy.
Mm.
And before we do a concert like this, we would do Qigong for hours and meditate, all kinds of deep breathing. We would do it on different power spots on the mountain. And then in Qigong, which is different from Tai Chi, which is a moving meditation.
Right, yes.
In Qigong, what we do is we collect the Qi. We store it in the lower Dan Chen. Some people store it in the middle or upper one, but usually the lower Dan Chen is like the heat sink type of thing.
Okay.
It's where the original Qi is. And then they focus it with healing intent and put that energy into me and the music.
So they're feeling the vibrations of the music, and you know, because I want to get this very clear. Are they feeling the vibrations of the music and then receiving that intent to give to you, or let me just, if you could just, I want it to be clear about
They're feeling the vibration of the music, absolutely.
Okay,
and
good.
they're also at the same time they're putting this healing intent into the music and Qi.
Okay,
But
so
if you
that was
notice,
right,
if you
right.
watch the video closely, you'll see they're behind me. I don't see what they're doing.
Exactly.
Sometimes they do things, and they're directing me. The actual Qi is like, you know, they're the ones that are making
is
me do certain
lovely.
things. You know, like if they move
Right.
fast, all of a sudden I start playing fast. I don't see this. This is an energy thing. It's amazing.
Excellent. So this is, so do you want to share anything about your personal journey as to how you came about? I know you shared some of it, but just, you know, go back a little bit of the history and how you got into this.
Well, I was a record producer, songwriter for many, many years.
Okay.
Had Blood, Sweat, and Tears recording studio in New City. Worked with a lot of famous artists, had a couple of hit records.
Okay.
George McRae is a very close friend of mine,
George
Rock Your
McRae,
Baby.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I brought you down to one of George's CDs. It's in my
Okay.
car, I'll give it to you, all right? And he's got a new CD that just opened up in Netherlands with a top 10 bullet, you know. But I was into dance music back in those days,
Okay.
and so I started playing piano when I was 4, and I ended up with some friends, and this one lady that was a writer who had a crush on me, invited me to go on a 3-week cruise on the Song of Flower, which is a 6-star cruise line.
Okay.
But it was for 3 weeks, and I had to pay my own airfare back and forth. And I was busy at that time. You know, I was also in the land business. I developed property in the Catskills, and I was very busy. So 3 weeks away from my business was a consideration. But then again, a 6-star cruise ship was, twist my arm. I ended up going. And so I started getting into massage and stuff like that, because we went to all these places around the world. And then a couple weeks later, after we got back, she got a gig to do the best of the best spas in the world for the Robb Report,
Okay.
and to do the research, which was the best spa in the world. This was her job, right? So we go around the world now on these trips to research these spas, and I had a 3-week trip to Asia with 71 free spa treatments thrown in just because we're doing the best of the best spas in the world, right? And they're vying for the #1 spot. So they
Right.
treated us like, you know, get $5,000 a night villas with our own infinity pool, and, you know, author suites at the Oriental Hotel in Bangkok, and Regents and Four Seasons in Bali. It was unbelievable.
Okay.
I came back from that trip, sat down at the piano to do some overdubs and some music that I had written prior to doing that, and my first CD that I gave you, this one right here, Soul Traveler Prelude, came out of nowhere.
Right.
2.5 hours, it was done,
Okay.
you know?
So you want to just talk a little bit about that, because you know, you were kind enough to bring some of those to share with anyone who's interested,
Right.
and they can contact me, and all the information will be at the end, and that's of course CicelyG2015@gmail.com. Again, that's CicelyG2015@gmail.com. And there's a few CDs that I have. If you're interested, you can contact me in that way. And I want to thank you for that, Kevin. That was
Well,
very generous of
you're
you.
very entirely welcome. And this is not only a CD, it's a CD and DVD. It's a
Oh,
two-disc
CD
set.
and DVD.
And in this DVD, there's a thing about Soul Traveler which explains my journey
Okay.
into healing.
Lovely.
And this started when my 6-year-old son, Raja, was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer.
Okay.
And they gave him a year to live with no treatment. And a 25%, 5-year survival with surgery, radiation, and chemo.
Right.
Let me tell you something. When you're a parent and somebody tells you your kid's going to die in a year, this rocks your world. Okay, and then they sell you fear. Oh, you got to rush in and do surgery. You got to do radiation. You got to do chemo. Rush, rush, rush. Otherwise, you know, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I needed some time to think. And my wife at the time agreed. And so I started doing research. I went to Barnes and Nobles. I bought probably 20 books on cancer.
Right.
I started studying and research. We went to the regular doctors. They want to do radiation chemo surgery. Okay, it's not big enough. He's not having all kinds of problems. You know, we wanted to wait a little. But it got so bad he was having seizures. We were forced to do a surgery,
Sure.
which was done by Dr. Peter Carmel at Columbia University, and it was great. He did take the tumor out, and we thought everything was fine because we didn't know anything about cancer. And, you know, unfortunately, doctors don't really tell you anything about cancer except radiation chemo surgery. But the sad fact about it is most doctors don't get one course in nutrition. And radiation chemo will kill you if you're perfectly healthy. Radiation, look at the people in Chernobyl. Nobody got healed from Chernobyl. 1 million people died from Chernobyl. And look at, you know, the Nazis. They're the ones that invented mustard gas and sarin nerve gas. Guess what chemo is? Derivatives of mustard and sarin nerve gas. So instead of doing a Holocaust where they kill you all at once in the ovens, they, you know, give it to you so you die over 5 years and take all your money. And, you know, it's crazy. There are so many ways to cure cancer, but the doctors will not tell you. And the main way is changing your diet and lifestyle. Now, why do I say that? We took my son's tumor out. Guess what happened? Grew back. What does that mean? Well, that means cancer is not the tumor.
Right.
We took it out, it grew back. Obviously, something else is the cancer. Tumor is just a manifestation of the cancer. So we went back for another operation. Now, in the interim, I found this Dr. Brzezinski through Michael Schachter, Dr. Michael Schachter in Suffern, New York, who's a holistic MD.
Right.
And these are the kind of doctors that you want to go to if you have cancer, a holistic MD. And unfortunately, holistic MDs are not going to tell you not to do radiation and chemo because they don't want to lose their license.
Right.
You know? So you want to go to a holistic MD before you do radiation and chemo so they can treat you with a protocol without having to suffer from the effects of radiation and chemo. People don't even think about holistic stuff until they figure out that radiation, chemo, and surgery isn't working. So we took him to Brzezinski down there, and he had this anti-neoplaston treatment that he didn't think, you know, he hadn't had any experience with. My son's tumor was a primitive neuroectodermal tumor, which is a rare tumor, very fast growing. He didn't make any promises. He did try this medicine. It was even covered by the insurance. It slowed it down, but it didn't stop it.
Right.
We had another operation back in school in 2 weeks.
Right.
Another month, half went by. We couldn't figure out how to stop this at the time. He ended up doing these seizures. We had to have a third surgery. We went back to the same doctor, Dr. Fred Epstein, who's now gone. And, you know, I want to make sure he did it because he had such a great reputation at NYU Hospital. And he promised me he would, and he did the second operation. That was fine. The third operation, he let his assistant do it.
Okay, so now I just want to say, because we're getting close down to the end, so if you could just share exactly, you know, what happened to your son.
So, okay, it spread throughout his brain. Now we had 28 tumors. I did radiation, which caused the tumors to swell. Then we did chemo, which caused them to swell more. They had to put a hole in his head to drain it. He squeezed my finger 45 days later after being in a coma.
Right.
and passed away. I kept studying and researching cancer. 16 years later, I got diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Okay.
I rid my body of prostate cancer in 6 months without radiation, chemo, drugs, surgery.
Very good.
2003, when I came back from my trip to Beijing, I ended up with SARS-related pneumonia and a 50% enlarged heart.
Right.
Typically, goodbye Charlie, heart keeps getting bigger and bigger, explodes, you die of congestive heart failure, heart attack, stroke. Got it back to normal. 4 months, no drugs.
Very good.
I just put together 25 years of research into my new book, Soul Traveler,
If you just
Healing
want to show
Journeys.
that book now. Yes, thank you.
This is available now. It's hot off the press.
Okay.
And it just came out this week. It's 781 pages.
Wow.
Stuff in here you will never hear from a doctor. This is amazing stuff about healing. I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing my journey.
And
what
that's
I
when one
did,
can
what I
just share their
learned,
journey,
what
yeah.
worked for me. It may not work for you,
That's it.
you know? But at least if you have an option,
Yes.
you can say, oh, well, gee, let me try this or that,
Right.
you know, instead of this. But if you're not giving any options, you know, you're pretty much stuck.
Options are a good thing. And so, and it's a good thing to share your personal journey because somebody else will get from that. It's not as though we're telling anybody what they should and shouldn't do. Just saying, look, this is what happened in my situation. And so I want to share so that it can help you.
Right.
It may or may not help you. It's just
Right.
like, you know, lemon juice might be good for me, but not good for you.
Right.
But I would share like it's not good for me. So you might want to see and check and see that you're okay, that the alkaline level is okay for you, whatever. So it's just sharing your personal journey. And nobody's here to tell anybody what they need to do. It's just that you said, this is my personal journey. I don't do healing. I'm not saying I'm a healer. I'm just saying this is the things that I've done. Try it. Read the book. You might find something in there. Look at the CD, DVD, and see if there's something in there. And so that's all it is. It's just sharing. And so it's really wonderful that you have come to share that journey. So now as we wind down, Kevin,
Now what?
as we wind down,
Okay.
we're coming to the end. I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your personal journey. And I know that the guests are going to get something from it, and especially when you share from the heart something as, you know, that what you went through with your son. And so I just would like to say again, if anybody's interested, you were very kind enough to share the CD, and so they know how to reach me if you're interested. And as usual, I would like to say,
If I may, before you say that, if people would like to get that book, they could go online
okay,
to Misevis.com,
Okay.
M-I-S-E-V Victor, I-S.com.
Okay.
And that's available now online. And the CD is a free download when you buy the book.
okay, great, thank
So.
you. Okay. And so now as we come to a close, your level of consciousness is the gateway to your future. Thank you.